Sombr, Homewrecker, let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It, Music Reviews Season 12. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, we got a pretty good episode for you today. We're going to take a slight break from J. Cole, but we got more J. Cole reviews coming. I'm actually, right after this review, I'm actually going to dive in and put in like 3 or 4 hours listening to the whole entire fucking album. So I'm doing that right after, but before I do that, I might as well talk about this song right here. This is on the front page of the YouTube. Now, I've never reviewed Sombr's music on this show, but, you know, when stuff's in the front page, you know, popular music comes out, you know, this music video is very high budget, etc., etc. I'll always be around to talk about this type of music, and we actually got another kind of, I would say, more of a classic kind of Midwest, kind of that Midwest emo sound that, you know, is definitely here. So might as well check it out. You know, I reviewed somebody named Noah Kane, and apparently this guy's fucking well known. I had no idea. I've never listened to his goddamn music, but I will say, guys, you know, every time I dive into this genre.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
I don't have a really good time listening to this type of music. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. You know, I really try my best to sit down and go like, damn, all right, I think this shit's going to sound good, etc. And then I fucking sit down and I don't have a good time listening to this type of music. So I gave it my best shot. I gave it my best chance, but let's get into the song. This song's called Homewrecker. Let's start off talking about the goddamn instrumental. Now, I will say, I really like this instrumental. Going from somebody like Noah Kane, who had a very basic-ass guitar that kind of just kept the same-ass guitar loop through the whole entire song, this one actually has a lot to it. The guitar doesn't feel like a really basic-ass guitar loop. There's background vocals really helping this shit out. There's also some really nice drums. I like those background elements, too, that just really bring out the track, really bring out the goddamn song, which is overall pretty goddamn fire. Now, I really like this instrumental. I like the depth of this instrumental. I like how it's not just, you know, that basic-ass kind of just guitar and let's just call it a goddamn day. Now, I love the instrumental. I love the build-up to it. I like it when, you know, it transitions to the hook and then, you know, those guitars, those synths, all these different elements start really opening up on this track. So that's really cool. But I will say, once we get into the song, once the instrumental kind of fades away and we're left with the vocals, that's my number one issue of this song, is probably the vocal style. I've never really listened to Sombr's music. I don't know if this is how he sings on all of his tracks. I don't know. But I will say, the kind of whiny, kind of, you know, not very, it's kind of gives me kind of screamo vibes, but it's not screaming. You know, he's not screaming on here. But the way he's holding out his vocals is not really clicking with me. It's not really sounding that good. It's kind of sounding a little bit off on the auto-tune when you're listening to the song. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. And that's going to be kind of an issue. You know, you have a good-ass instrumental, but you have vocals that are just kind of straining. You know, it feels like we're straining, we're peaking the levels on the volume. I'm just kind of sit here wondering, why were the vocals recorded this way? They don't really sound good. There is moments when we get to the hook, when you hear those background vocals start to kick in, and he kind of calms down this kind of like, you know, straining out his voice. But I'm just going to be real. This whole like straining out your voice shit doesn't sound good. It doesn't make the track sound any better. You know, I do like vocal variation. I do like vocal switch-ups. I like all of these different elements. But if you're doing these elements badly, if you're making it sound worse than making the track kind of go down a level, then I'm not really having a good time listening to the song. So that's my only thing about it, is that, you know, I don't really like the vocals, and that's my big problem with this track. But I will say the hook. You know, we can talk about the hook. The hook is actually pretty good. You know, I was wondering if I was going to enjoy, you know, he kind of just sings Homewrecker over and over and over again. And there's not really much to it. And, you know, it doesn't have the feel of the verses. The verses have this weird-ass vocals that I just can't really get in with it. You know, I can't really click with it. It doesn't really sound that good to me, in my opinion. But I will say, you know, I do like the hook. I like when those background vocals kick in. I do like, kind of like how the instrumental has its own little, like, break at the end. It's not too often, you know, actually have instrumentals that have their own little breaks, have their own little shit that's, like, going on. So that's a really cool thing. Makes the instrumental more alive, makes it actually sound really fucking good. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the thing that's really catching me up on this new somber track, Homewrecker, is the vocal style is too bad for me to actually enjoy the track. It's got elements that I do enjoy. You know, this track definitely does. But every time I listen to this style of music, I just, you know, there's always something that holds me back. There's always something that I'm like, man, this is almost really good, but then there's something like this, where the vocals are not really hitting. Or, you know, I remember I've listened to, you know, a Tame Impala track, alright? And he doesn't even make this genre of music, I don't think so. He also dropped a track with fucking Jenny recently, which we will review probably later down this week. I'm probably going to have some things to say about that. But it's the same thing. Like, there's always something with these type of tracks that I'm just not enjoying. So overall, when we talk about Sombr, Homewrecker, I will say the instrumental is really good. I like all the elements in the instrumental. Sounds really nice. Sounds really fire. The thing that's holding me back is Sombr's vocal style on the verses. But I say his vocals actually sound a little bit better on the hook. So overall, I'll just easily give this track an easy 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single goddamn day. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, guys. It means the fucking world to me. It means you're listening to this episode. Y'all are fucking killing it. Every time I check my podcast, it's just like, man, Season 12's just killing it. I don't even know why, but Season 12 is fucking killing it, and I can't thank y'all enough. I'll tell you have a good one, and we will get back to talking about J. Cole literally probably tomorrow. So get ready for that, and I'll tell you have a good one.